Mercury, the Fliteboards, and then finally we had a day trip on a Freedom Boat Club boat.
It was a great, fun experience.
It was so much fun. I legitimately want one. The whole trip was a blast, but this was definitely something that I loved because it's... Welcome to another episode of the Southern Boating Podcast. I'm Ian Sneed.
I'm James Anderson.
And today we're going to talk about one specific subject, and we're going to keep it short and sweet and to the point. James, do you want to tell them?
Yeah, so we are going to talk about a recent trip that you went on up to Charleston, South Carolina. Mm-hmm. And you got to visit with, who were you there for?
So, Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
We also got to experience another Brunswick brand, the Fliteboards. And then finally, we had a day trip on a Freedom Boat Club boat.
So why don't we start off with what you were there with for Mercury?
Yes. So, all right, real quick. I got to go. I was lucky, right, that I got to go because our editor-in-chief was unable to make it because of other responsibilities. So
lucky you.
I know. I got lucky.
Yeah, because Charleston's a beautiful town.
Gorgeous city. You pretty much, if you've ever been to Charleston, you know that you love it. And anyone that hasn't been to Charleston,
go
because you'll love it. So, excuse me. So Mercury had the electric propulsion Avators.
They're new electric outboards, as they call it, right?
Right. They're electric outboards. So they have, within this line, they have 3 models already, but they were debuting 2 new ones at a higher wattage, amplitude.
Right.
Yeah.
Wattage.
So they had their 75E and their 110E debuting. Now, the cool thing is I had not experienced any of the Avator line previously. So they had all of their line there. So I was able to actually get on a few tenders and ribs that had their Avator at different wattages, right? So I have experience with all of them. I had a blast. I really did have a blast on them. Now, It's different, yes. So the thing that I took away from it, the one thing that I really enjoyed was the maneuverability. The maneuverability is incredible because when you're on an outboard, it's always like you're getting pushed forward. So when you try to turn around, you're making a big turn, right? But with these, yes, it's forward propulsion, but at the same time, because of, I don't know the way it works, but because of how this outboard is set up, when you turn, it's like you make an instant U-turn. And I compared it to, in my head, driving a big truck, trying to make a U-turn at an intersection where sometimes you have to make a 3-point turn.
Yeah.
And comparing that to like a motorcycle just kind of turning around.
So was that part of their demonstration, showing how agile it is?
So I think it was unintentionally part of their demonstration because they showed us on each one. After the first one, we went out on this little pontoon. And it was the 110E. And so the 110E, when you get this package, it's a full package. You get the outboard. It gets connected to 2 batteries and a power center as well as a charging cable. It all comes as part of a system, right? So we went out on that one first, the 110E. And, they were telling us about it. They were telling us, for example, I wrote down notes so I wouldn't forget. The batteries are, you get 2 5.4 kilowatt hour batteries. Right. Now, the power center will merge the energy from the batteries and relay it to the control console.
Okay.
So you can make they have a digital display and you can make a lot of different changes to the settings that you want to see. For example, how much longer you can go, how much wattage you're using,
so
the speed.
You can control it to make sure that if you want to get 2 hours worth of usage, that you're going to get 2 hours worth of battery power.
Exactly.
So you can set all those different parameters up. So you can't run your battery down too early by running full throttle.
Right. And if you did run full throttle, you have a full hour of time impressive. On the water. So the cool thing was he was telling us if you dropped it down to like 75%, the speed that you lose is minimal. And so we tried it out there. We went full throttle. We dropped it down to 75%. And we lost maybe 0.4, 0.5 miles per hour. But the time that we were able to be on the water jumped up exponentially. It was incredible.
Really?
Yeah, it was really good.
So the efficiency was basically 2-3 times that by just the small amount of decrease.
It was a very high efficiency. The savings that you get from it.
That's pretty
awesome.
cool.
It was awesome.
So, and that was the one that I saw you, because you sent me some videos, and that was on the pontoon?
That was on the pontoon. We also did an inflatable tender. It was really like a little dinghy. And that one was fun because I'd never done an inflatable like that before. So with that one, with the pontoon, you can set up.
Was that a soft bottom or hard bottom?
It was a soft bottom.
Really?
Yeah, that was my first time with a soft bottom. Yeah. So with the 110, you get the 2 battery, the power center, the charging cable, and that'll work for like larger vessels. But if you need something smaller that has a tiller, right, for the handle,
you can do the 75.
You can do. I mean, technically, depending on the size of the boat that you're using, you could still do the 110. But I feel like that would be too much for one of those. You probably want one of the smaller ones, whether it's from their current lineup or the 75. I'm pretty sure 75 would fit on something like that. But with that one with the tiller, it was great because the control is obviously instant. They made it very intuitive, right? And they set it up so that you could, some people were worried about theft, so they set it up so that you could take it with you if you wanted. So the full weight of the one that he was showing me was 60 pounds.
That's nothing.
That's nothing. If you take the battery out, I think the battery is like 13. I had to write it down. The battery is 17 pounds. So if you wanted to take just the battery so that people couldn't use it, it's just 17 pounds, which I wrote down was the equivalent weight of 2 gallons of milk.
No, I noticed from reading their press release that it looked like the 75E, which is 7,500 watts of power at the prop shaft, that was equatable to like 10 horsepower.
Correct, yes.
And the 110, which is 11,000 watts, that was relatable to a 15 horsepower, right?
That's right, yep.
And the 110 was the one that, if I'm not mistaken, that you got to test and had multitudes of batteries. And you can link even more than 2 batteries, I think I read.
Right. On the pontoon, you have the ability to add 2 more batteries to the bow area.
4 batteries
so you go
total.
For 4 batteries total. Yeah.
Nice. And I also read that they have 2 different chargers. So they have your standard charger, which can take up to 20 hours to recharge those batteries. And then they have another charger, a higher power charger, which will decrease the time by 50%. So you could charge it essentially in 10 hours.
Yeah.
Pretty neat.
It is. And what I like about it is the amount of space that it saves on the boat is actually pretty good.
Right.
But not just that, the maneuverability. When you're in a smaller vessel, you kind of want more maneuverability. And you get that with these electric outboards. And then on top of that, the silence, it made it very easy to, one, enjoy nature, but also enjoy the conversation. It was very easy. We didn't have to talk over an engine.
Right.
And so when you're thinking about, okay, this is my, what I'm using to go back and forth between my vessel and the dock, right? If I'm going to resupply, if I'm going to whatever, that's kind of what you want, right? You want something quick and easy. You want something where if you're with friends because you're going to dinner, it's quiet and you can have a conversation. So I just really enjoyed the convenience of everything that they put into this line.
Sure. And if you're green conscious, it's a good choice
then
for
it's
you.
even better, yeah.
Absolutely.
It was, yeah.
So some of the other things that you did, you had an opportunity, and I heard you were pretty successful at it, of riding a Fliteboard, which is a hydrofoil kind of surfboard deal, right?
Right, yes. So,
and you were able to actually be one of the few people that could get up and stand up and get the hydrofoil to work for you.
So I don't want to say I was one of the few people because we were split into 2 groups. And our group was actually very successful. Our coaches were great. The Fliteboard instructors were fantastic. You can tell that they really know their practice, right? We had one of them was a professional wakeboarder. I think a professional wakeboarder. Like these guys are very, very good on any kind of water sport. They're incredible. So they knew how to help us based off of each of our individual skill sets and also maybe deficiencies. And the reason I point that out is that if you go to the Fliteboard website, which we'll link in the description, you can actually find events nearby, depending on where you are in the world, that will help you experience what it's like to be on a Fliteboard. But you'll also find places where you can go learn and take classes and know that you're going to be in good hands because they've trained their people to actually help the person in front of them, right? So we were actually all pretty good at it. There was one guy that was better than me, absolutely. But I got tired after about an hour of this. I didn't realize how much energy.
It's a workout.
Yeah, it was a workout. But it was great because they progressed you through the different steps. So you start off just laying on the board. And so you have a controller, right? And that's what controls the speed. Mm-hmm. So that's why I don't have any GoPro footage, because I didn't want to hold the GoPro in one hand and the controller in the other and then try to balance the first time I'm on this thing. So I just decided, all right, let's go for the experience and let's see what it is. And so it was very easy to control. If you have one hand free, you have the controller on the other hand. It's very easy to get up and you can lay right on the board and you can get to a speed where you're planing. And then if you decide, then based off of their instruction, depending on how you shift your weight, whether it's forward or back, you can get the board itself to start to hydrofoil, right? Mm-hmm. Or start to foil. And so as you shift your weight back, you start to foil. And then as you shift your weight forward, you come back down. So you can get closer to the water and go back to planing. And so they do this touch and go thing where you're figuring out the perfect balance point to foil without the wing coming out of the water, because that's a little bit more advanced to be able to come out of the water. And
the foil coming out of the water, right?
Yeah.
Because then it doesn't work. You're going to crash.
Well, I mean, I would like to think that there's experts out there that come out of the water and come back in as part of their skill set, right? But for us, that was not something that we were even going to try to do. So, you start off on your stomach and then you work up to your knees, and that actually takes out a lot more energy than you think. If you feel comfortable on your knees, this was for me personally, then I got right up to my feet because I realized how much energy I was wasting on my knees.
So all said and done with the Fliteboard, it was a great, fun experience for you.
It was so much fun. I legitimately want one. Right. Because it was just a blast. And it's something where, for example, if you go surfing, you need certain swells to really enjoy yourself. You need certain size.
This is totally different.
Yes, this is totally different.
You just need to be recharged. Your battery's recharged, right?
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
It was a blast.
Well, I will thank you for not taking the GoPro and losing it.
What can I say? Risk aversion.
Let's talk about the last segment of your trip and what you got to experience.
Yes. So this was, the whole trip was a blast, but this was definitely something that I loved because it's something that I've wanted to experience. We got to spend a day with Freedom Boat Club. Mm-hmm. And so what we did was we drove over to the local spot in Charleston, because they actually have 3 locations there. So we went to the closest one to us. And we got to go on a boat with one of the captains, and he took us around and gave us a tour of Charleston. We passed by Fort Sumter. So obviously there's the amount of history with that.
Lots of history.
A lot of history. But he was showing us some incredible things, that localized knowledge that you get from being a regular boater there, right? Mm-hmm. Absolutely loved it. And one of the coolest things about that is the fact that when they were bringing us to the boat, he was talking to us, not this captain, but the main person in charge for that location. He was talking to us. I think his name was Mike. I might be getting it wrong, but I don't want to drop the wrong name. But he was a great guy, very, very informative. He was telling us about all the training that they do for anybody that joins the Freedom Boat Club,
which is really nice.
It's incredible. Yeah. So they teach you, if you've never docked a boat, they teach you how to dock a boat. They teach you how to refill. They teach you how to do all the different things. And a lot of times, all of the stuff gets taken care of by the Freedom Boat Club crew. Like, they'll take care of you. And so it's really just making a reservation, getting on board, and enjoying your day on the water. Mm-hmm. But the cool thing, I thought something was really, really cool about Freedom Boat Club that you don't get, I think, in many places when it comes to that training part. You have location-specific training.
Really? Tell me.
So he was talking about how the tides there in Charleston can be a little stronger than some people are used to. So one of the things they teach you how to do is like double anchoring. And that's something that they teach you in Charleston because it's very useful in Charleston waters. But that might not be something you need to learn for another one of their, I think it's like over 400 locations. At one of those places, you might need to learn a different skill set. And so you can go through localized training. And sometimes you need certain certifications, if you're going to be traveling to, I don't know, let's say, I'm just going to say Puerto Rico. I'm pretty sure they have a location in Puerto Rico. They have locations all over the world. They have them up in Europe. They have them everywhere, dude.
anywhere. And your membership is not just for one area,
Right.
it's for all the locations, correct?
Right. And then I'm sure they have different tiers, and I'm not an expert in their membership and whatnot.
Right.
But to my knowledge, that is accurate. You can get a membership that gives you access to all of the locations, and you can make reservations. You can make day of reservations. You can get on a wait list if it's last minute and they're like, all of our boats are out right now, but we'll call you as soon as one comes back in. They do that as well. I think it's easier in certain locations to do that than others. Obviously, if you're planning for certain holidays to be out on the water, it takes a little planning.
Make a reservation ahead of time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think what's neat and interesting about Freedom Boat Club, right? It's good for possibly that person that's looking to get into boating, that doesn't have a high confidence level just yet, needs some training, but also isn't ready to make a purchase of a boat of their own.
Correct.
So they can kind of test the waters with Freedom Boat Club, see if it's something that they truly want to take to the next step.
Absolutely.
So they get the training, they can get, any local knowledge that they need, they can feel more comfortable, and they can see if boating and going about this with more aggressive or more of a passion is really for them before they buy their own boat.
Absolutely. I think that's a great person to consider Freedom Boat Club. I think there's two other people that I would say should consider Freedom Boat Club. And one of them is the boat owner that likes to travel without the boat, right? Yeah, so like, let's say if you're used to going to Europe, say you go to Europe in the spring.
Or Europe, or just traveling even domestically.
Or even domestically. Like, let's say you're from, say, South Florida, and you're going up to the Northeast, and you decide it's beautiful out, I want to go out on the water. If you're a member of Freedom Boat Club, you can go out on the water. Just because your boat is down here doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, right. Exactly right. And what's the last one?
The last one is, and this is just in my head, somebody that wants their kids to get proper training on how to do certain things on a boat. You'll train them yourself on how you want a boat, but when it comes to, say, all right, maybe you don't have experience with, like Charleston, strong tides. Well, then maybe you take a family trip to Charleston and you go out and you have one of their captains teach everybody there how to deal with double anchoring, how to deal with docking in strong tides. And, obviously the longer you're in boating, the easier it is for you to train the people that you love. But at the same time, if you've only been boating 3 or 4 years, there's going to be experiences that you haven't had. And having somebody that's used to making those trainings easily understandable, it's a good resource to have.
Absolutely.
That's my...
all said and done, you had fun on a trip.
Had a blast.
Got to go see a very historic town, Charleston. Yes. Very fun town to go visit.
Yep.
Got to go on a Fliteboard.
I did, yep.
Got to experience the new electric Outboards.
I did.
Right, which you enjoyed.
Had a blast.
And then lastly, learn a little bit about Freedom Boat Club.
Yeah, which was, seriously, all of it was just a great trip.
Well, I'm glad you had fun.
Me too.
Don't worry, I was here working.
I believe.
So, I'm James Anderson.
I'm Ian Sneed.
Make sure that you come and check us out next week. And always remember to subscribe for the podcast. Thank you very much. Take 15.
Take 25. Take 1,000. This isn't going because we'll get in trouble.
Oh, big time trouble. ¿Qué pasó?
Make it cute. Damn, I should have done that this morning. Would have been way easier.
You want to be cute?
Yeah, man. I want to be adorable. I want to be precious.
I call my son cute.
Well, your son's adorable.
Yeah, thank you. He is a good-looking kid.
Yeah.
He is part of me. And he's got the Irish good looks.
He's a handsome little gent, that's for sure.
But you should be, at this stage in your life,
handsome. I know. That's why I say cute, because people never expect it. For you to say no to a free drink is like, okay. This is definitely a let's get out of here situation, guys. Holy cow, is it hot? You don't feel that heat.
I thought we were doing silence, man.
Well, I got to get the timer going. Stopwatch.
Oh, okay.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1.